Few figures in American history blur the line between legend and lawlessness quite like Jesse James. To some, he was a daring rebel, a symbol of Southern defiance and frontier justice. To others, he was nothing more than a cold-blooded killer, driven by vengeance and greed. Born in the turbulent aftermath of the Civil War, Jesse James transformed from a teenage Confederate guerrilla into one of the nation's most feared and romanticized outlaws. His name became synonymous with bank robberies, train heists, and shootouts that captured the public's imagination for generations. Yet behind the myth lies a far more complex story, one rooted in family loyalty, violence, and survival in a divided America. Here are 7 fascinating things you might not know about Jesse James, the man behind the legend. 1. He was the son of a preacher. From his teenage years as a Confederate guerrilla to his death at 34, Jesse James became one of America's most infamous outlaws, part folk hero, part ruthless criminal. Jesse Woodson James was born on September 5, 1847, in Clay County, Missouri, to Zerelda Cole James and her husband, Robert James, a Baptist minister, slaveholder, and co-founder of William Jewell College in Liberty, Missouri. When Jesse was just 2, Robert left for California to minister in the goldfields, but died soon after arriving, leaving Zerelda to raise Jesse, his brother Frank, and their sister Susan in financial hardship. After a brief, unsuccessful marriage to another man, Zerelda returned to her first husband's farm, remarried again in 1855, and had 4 more children. Even after Frank and Jesse became outlaws, she fiercely defended them for the rest of her life. 2. He fought as a Confederate guerrilla during the Civil War, Missouri. A divided border state during the Civil War saw brutal violence from both Union and Confederate sympathizers. Frank James first fought with the pro-secession Missouri State Guard, later joining a band of Confederate guerrillas or bushwhackers who terrorized Union supporters. When Jesse was a teenager, Union militiamen raided his family's farm, hanging his stepfather in an attempt to learn Frank's whereabouts. He survived. Soon after, Jesse joined Frank in fighting alongside the notorious William Bloody Bill Anderson. Their gang was responsible for horrific acts, including the Centralia Massacre in 1864, where unarmed Union soldiers were executed and over 100 Federal troops were killed in battle. In May 1865, shortly after the war's end, Jesse was shot in the chest during a clash with Union soldiers near Lexington, Missouri. Nursed back to health by his cousin Zerelda Z. Mims, whom he later married, Jesse soon turned to crime with Frank and other ex-guerrillas, robbing banks, trains, and stagecoaches. 3. He was no Robin Hood. Jesse's first major heist came in 1869, when he and his gang robbed a bank in Gallatin, Missouri. During the raid, Jesse shot the cashier, believing him to be the Union officer who killed his former commander, Bloody Bill Anderson. He was mistaken. Afterward, pro-Confederate journalist John Newman Edwards began publishing stories that portrayed Jesse as a noble rebel fighting Reconstruction-era oppression. Edwards's romanticized writings, combined with Jesse's own letters defending his actions, helped create the enduring myth of Jesse James as a Robin Hood figure. In truth, there's no evidence he ever shared his loot with the poor. 4. The Pinkertons couldn't catch him following the gang's 1874 train robbery in Gads Hill, Missouri. The Pinkerton National Detective Agency was hired to hunt the James brothers. The agency, known for capturing train robbers, quickly found itself outmatched. 2 of its agents were killed during the pursuit. In January 1875, Pinkerton operatives mistakenly raided Jesse's mother's home, throwing an explosive device inside. The blast maimed Zerelda, killing Jesse's half-brother and fueling public sympathy for the outlaws. After the botched raid, the Missouri legislature nearly granted the brothers amnesty. Allen Pinkerton himself abandoned the case, and Jesse retaliated by having a local man who helped the detectives assassinated. 5. His gang's luck ran out in Minnesota on September 7, 1876. Jesse, Frank, and the younger brothers attempted to rob the First National Bank in Northfield, Minnesota. They targeted it after learning that ex-Union general and politician Adelbert Ames might have deposited a fortune there. The robbery quickly went wrong. The cashier refused to open the safe, and armed townspeople began shooting at the gang. In the chaos, 2 people were killed, and 2 outlaws died on the spot. After a 2-week manhunt, the younger brothers were captured and sentenced to life in prison. Jesse and Frank managed to escape to Tennessee under false names, laying low for years before Jesse formed a new gang in June 1879. He was killed by a member of his own gang. Jesse James didn't die in a blaze of glory. He was shot in the back of the head on April 3, 1882, while straightening a picture on the wall of his St. Joseph, Missouri home. The killer was Bob Ford, a recent recruit to the gang who, along with his brother Charlie, had secretly made a deal with the governor to capture Jesse for a reward. After the killing, the Ford brothers were convicted of murder, but immediately pardoned. They soon began reenacting the shooting in stage shows, turning tragedy into entertainment. Charlie later took his own life in 1884, while Bob was killed in 1894 in a Colorado saloon. 7. His body was exhumed twice. Rumors long persisted that Jesse James had faked his own death, and that an imposter lay in his grave. Several men even claimed to be the real outlaw. In 1995, scientists exhumed the remains buried under Jesse's name at Mount Olivet Cemetery in Kearney, Missouri, reinterred there in 1902 from the family farm. DNA testing confirmed the remains were indeed those of Jesse Woodson James, putting the mystery to rest once and for all.